So good morning. Now we have 40 minutes of selfie funds. Right. All right. You've just eaten 1/40th of our timer. So, all right. So we have here 3 service providers in the maritime market, and 1 market analyst. We have 40 minutes to get through a lot of stuff. I'm going to try to leave 10 minutes at the end for questions. If you've got questions for the maritime sector, you might start putting them out now, because if there are no questions when I get to the question time, I'll continue banging on with my own questions, because there's a lot to get through. A couple of general questions for all of them. We had a 2.5-hour outage in July, was it, of Starlink? Was it June? That was a global outage, a very interesting event. How did that not just affect their operations, if it did, but you're thinking about what resiliency means, because that was a real-world ground truth type of test. We had an AWS outage as well. I'm not sure whether that would have affected you guys, but if it did, say something about it. And finally, GNSS, positioning, navigation, timing, is a big part of what you do with connectivity. And GNSS, starting in Eastern Europe, but other areas as well, including the Western United States, interference is now a regular thing. So how do you fix your resiliency in the face of this kind of threat? It's not just Russia, it's a lot of places. I was going to start elsewhere, but because, as a journalist, I'm biased toward news, we have we're about an hour and a half, and Justin, you can tell, it's about an hour and a half from the launch of the Viasat-2 F3 satellite from Florida. It feels like we've been waiting for this launch for years, but it's happening today on a ULA Atlas V. I just checked a few minutes ago. Weather is okay, everything's good, and liftoff is supposed to be at 11:24 Taipei time, so about an hour and a half from now. And Viasat-3 is a 3-satellite network, with each satellite supposed to provide about a terabit per second of capacity. The first one launched 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, had a defect which affected some of its capacity, but not a whole lot, and it forced Viasat to reconfigure the way it looked at how it was going to distribute the capacity on that satellite. But let me, anyway, start with Justin. First, we'll go for a launch today?
Yeah, I mean, this is perfect timing for me to be here and then coincide with our landmark launch of Viasat 3 Flight 2. So thank you for having me. And then we are banking on this new technology a lot, but this is not the only technology we use today, because we are talking about multi-orbit solution. So when someone asks me a question like, is it okay for you to compete with LEO? The answer is, it's not about GEO versus LEO, but GEO and LEO. And then that's what we did for our new solution called the Nexus Wave, which is a multi-orbit, fully managed solutions. And then we've seen great progress in the market. So let me share with you a little bit of our experience over the process. So the question why we need a multi-orbit solution for maritime sector is quite obvious, because maritime is exposed to so many different risks or uncertainties, including geopolitical ones, which affect like signal getting, because like signal jamming or spoofing is there, especially around the highly contentious or tension area like Red Sea. And then also LEO is great technology, but they have some regulatory influence, like China, terrestrial water, no LEO technology from outside China is allowed. And then there is always some backup or fallback either on the VSAT or L-band. So these are the factors, affecting, the influencing or motivating users to choose multi-orbit. Now our key question to ourselves was how? So we had 3 kind of directions of innovation. First one is we focused on user experience. So traditional way of managing the different networks has been like a switch over or failover, which means when you are connected on LEO connectivity, you just route all your data traffic 100% through LEO. until you hit a snag and then you find the next fallback. The problem is, first one is a speed drop from 100 to 200 Mbps down to 2 meg, 4 meg using VSAT. I mean, you can choose a much more expensive VSAT which delivers more speed, but budget is the problem. Second one is there is some disconnection between the two when the fallback or switchover happens. So what we did is we did network bonding, which means when we have 2-3 networks available for the given moment of time, we use full capacity of all those 2-3 networks, which delivers. We have there are two kind of benefits. One is we stack up speeds of multiple networks at the same time, and then secondly, there is no disconnection in between because we use full capacity of all the available networks. So you imagine like you run a video conference and then you have to, you will run into a disconnection in between, then your business continuity is affected. So that's for network bonding. And then we, as satellite operator, GEO operator, we uncapped our maximum speed for VSAT when LEO is not available, which means normally VSAT speed, as you know, in normal budget range is 2 meg to 4 meg, but what we did is we open up to 30 to 50 Mbps of speed, VSAT alone, without any LEO. And that will gonna be increased to 200, 250 once we complete our Viasat 3 flights in 1 to 2 years of time. So these are the two main kind of innovations we had, and then commercially we are opening up. I mean, we don't have any data allowance limit for any given month, which means that at a fixed budget you can enjoy as much data as possible. Last but not least, we focused on cybersecurity. So because we have access and control over ground station network, not only the vessel side, we have a kind of end-to-end cybersecurity mechanism and architecture, which is resonating the industry needs. So these are the main points or innovation points we went through. We've gone through, and then those elements made our solution, Nexus Wave solution, quite successful, especially in APAC region, including Taiwan. So I'm very happy to be here in Taiwan. Yeah.
Good. Okay, go back to Viasat 3 F2 for a second. So I've got a flight tomorrow traversing the Pacific. I'll be in a zone of silence for about 10 or 11 hours. Once we get, I don't know, within 2 years of the US West Coast, the Viasat 3 F1 should pick up. Where will you station Viasat 3 F2 relative to Viasat 3 F1? So what would that look like in 6 months when Viasat 3 F2 is activated?
So to my knowledge, Viasat Flight 2, so which will be launched today, will be covering APAC region. And then the first flight, which is now covering North America, will shift to EMEA. And then the Flight 3 will cover Americas. The Flight 3 will be launched early next year.
But you're not going to abandon the Americas in that time. The satellite's going to stay there until Flight 3 is launched, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so there'll be no more the Pacific gap now on Delta Airlines that I have tomorrow. That will remain for the foreseeable future?
That's something I do not have full information or update.
Okay. When you talked about Nexus Wave using all possible connectivity service you have, so we're talking about GX, your GX service in Ka band. We're talking about Viasat 3, higher throughput Ka band. We're talking about your L band, all right? And then LEO capacity.
Yeah.
What LEO capacity?
So we are working with OneWeb LEO capacity. We analyze different players, and then our main focus was it should be enterprise level service, which means it takes SLA, it takes some minimum guaranteed speed, and then cybersecurity collaboration. Those elements made us to decide to work with OneWeb.
You didn't have a whole lot of selection there, did you?
But we have more and more choices because Amazon is coming up, and then the Telesat is also coming
next
up.
year,
Yeah.
next year for Telesat, and we'll see about Amazon. Okay, let me move over to Stephane of Network Innovations. Stephane, give us your sense of where your company is in the market, how the market is generally, and then if you want to address any of those general points, did you seize up during the Starlink outage this summer? Did AWS cause you any problems? And what about outages to GNSS? Has that affected your business? Go ahead.
Up or not? Hello, hello? Yes. Okay, good. Very good morning, everyone. So my name is Stephane Palomba. I've been in the region for the past 26 years now. I'm not 26 years old, so I'm working for network innovation for global business development. For enterprise, and for people who do not know us, we are a satellite service provider based in Canada, out of Calgary, so in the west of Canada. And we have in Asia Pacific ISP operations in Malaysia, Vietnam, Singapore, Australia, and very soon Japan. We do a lot of maritime, mainly in the offshore sectors. And for us, it's growing, and we have offerings using multiple different satellites, multi-orbit solutions, single-orbit solution. It really depends what the customer needs. We are not biased to any satellites. We really work on the technical requirement itself. I have actually two comments before tackling. You were raising about the SpaceX outage of 2 hours, but which satellite operator doesn't have any outage? I mean, I was working before in another company. We had outage with SES and outage with Intelsat. So I can list the number of outage per satellite operators. So it's not something that is linked specifically with SpaceX. I think it's a general issue about resiliency of the technical solution you offer to your customer. So this is one thing. And two, I wanted also to discuss about, you were talking about China Sea and the fact that LEO cannot have access to, it's actually up to 12 nautical miles. Beyond the 12 nautical miles, Starlink, for instance, can provide connectivity. So for people that would choose a different LEO in that specific case is because they insist to have in the first 12 nautical miles. And I think it's the same issue in Taiwan. So, so I just wanted to raise this because this is not something we have activities with also Chinese vessels, and this is not something that we see as a deal breaker for something. And then, so in terms of reliability, why people are using LEO more than GEO? I have to say that the main reason why, for instance, for us, we offer GEO on top of LEO is mainly linked to the business model of the LEO operators. It's not linked to the quality of the service. It's because when you sell LEO, you sell quota-based, and when you sell GEO, you sell speed, so mainly unlimited data. So if you go in a business with a quota-based service, on half of the months you use your quota, and you are throttled to half a megabit or 100 kilobit, then your vessel is no longer in operation and cannot be served. And this is where you have challenge using LEO. So for us, it's really putting a GEO with a LEO it's mainly a business continuity due to the limitation of the business model, more than the limitation of the technology itself.
Which LEO do you use?
It really depends. So we have customers that that provide internet for the crew, and wants also unlimited email access, mainly for the captain. So we do L-band. We have plenty of Certus, so we are using Certus. Sorry for that. For L-band, for the unlimited email. And then LEO for the usual internet for the crew. And then we have customers that really care about business continuity, mainly in the oil and gas, the offshore supply vessel or the platform supply vessel. Those type of customers get a LEO for a start, and then get a backup on CAIU. Can be any CAIU. It doesn't really matter. It's really a continuity when they achieve their threshold in LEO. And also it helps also because many in oil and gas sector, many are using IoTs or even CCTVs. So they cannot just disconnect the CCTV half months because there is no quota. So they really need to have the service to continue non-stop. So I would say that the solution to customer is more a multi-network solution, more than a multi-technology. They need more than one network in industrial maritime. So we see it that way and we address it that way.
Okay, but which LEO are you using? Both OneWeb and Starlink?
For the moment, we are using Starlink, so we hope we will use OneWeb because there is a demand in oil and gas with OneWeb.
Why?
It's more because of the SLA.
But I thought Starlink a year ago started offering SLAs for maritime.
They do, but it's pretty new. So you still have customer perceptions that they don't, but that might change with the time. But so for the moment, the perception is OneWeb is SLA, Starlink is not.
We have this is a question that all of you can address, but let me ask Stephane first. So we have the idea that the maritime market is slow to change hardware. You don't want to, not as slow as maybe Aero, but you've got a couple of other broadband LEO constellations coming up within the next, say, 48 months.
Yes.
Kuiper and Lightspeed from Telesat. We know that those two are solid.
Yes.
Both are aiming at the maritime market, obviously. Are they coming a little late, or is it easy, in your judgment, are your customers willing to switch with a new provider, even if it means taking off
I think they switch. The market is very, very dynamic. And in the past, maritime was a bit complicated market to address because you wanted to buy a gyro was $25,000. So people were stuck. They were leasing gyro, signing multi-year contract for the lease, or even buying upfront was a big investment, and they were not able to switch. So now we speak about maritime terminals at $700, $800. So it changed the complete economics of access to the internet service. So they can change. They just need to change the terminal. I don't think it's a showstopper. I actually believe that what will drive is probably one, the cost, and two, the SLA start to be a requirement.
Okay. But just comparing what we know now of OneWeb and what we now know now of Starlink, which has got more heritage in maritime because it deployed first, is there a qualitative difference between OneWeb and Starlink?
It's a complicated question to answer because it.
Try.
In French, we say langue de bois. No, but what I'm saying is that the advantage of Starlink is that they have more than 9,000 satellites, and they are not full. So they have plenty of capacity. So that's why even if in the beginning they were not offering SLA, the satellite, I mean, there's so much capacity, especially with their E-band backhauling, that now you will always burst at 150, 200 megabit, no matter what. So that's the thing. So OneWeb, you have also the same thing, but it depends on the region because you have less satellites. So it depends on the, so you have less capacity, so it depends on where you are, on how much is the usage. But let's say if you are in an area where that is underserved in both OneWeb and Starlink, you might achieve the same thing.
Okay, and in terms of latency, I mean, Starlink's at 500, OneWeb's at 1200, Lightspeed, I think, is at 700. Does this matter at that point or not?
Well, you have what? You have a 5 millisecond difference. It doesn't really matter.
All right, let me move on to Michael, neXat. Michael, tell us a little bit about neXat, what the market looks like to you now.
Thank you. First, I would like to introduce neXat. Thank you, because probably not everybody knows our company. Then, in fact, we are a technology provider. We are providing OSS, BSS for satellite operator. Now, okay, maybe some of you needs to know a little bit better about what is OSS, BSS. OSS, BSS is all what you need in order to manage, operate a network of satellites and where you need to provide managed services. Then typically, when you want to provide managed services, you need, of course, to have terminal. This is not neXat. You need to have a satellite. This is not neXat. You need to have a hub. This is not neXat. But all the rest on the ground, this is what we provide. And it's a software solution and software suite where we integrate all what is needed to operate your satellite and to provide managed services. Then it includes billing, it includes monitoring, it includes life cycle management, it includes also the different level in the value chain, then including resellers, then the complete ecosystem that we provide, including also ticketing system, etc., etc. Then, a typical example is APSCC. APSCC decided to move from selling megahertz to sell managed services. Then they purchased 6 hubs from ST Engineering iDirect, and we provide all the rest in order for them to be able to sell those managed services. Okay, then this is the introduction. And recently, we introduced also what the NextLink solution. It's in fact an SD-WAN solution that is adapted not only for maritime, but of course it's very important for maritime because, of course, in maritime, as explained previously, a vessel cannot depend on a single connectivity. They need to have several connectivity, and then including LEO, GEO, and also 5G, because for coastal vessel, 5G is a very good solution also. Then including all those kind of connectivity is nowadays absolutely mandatory for vessels. But we have to make the distinction between the different vessels, because there are so many cases. Typically, of course, you have the deep sea vessels. Okay, that's something that everybody knows. But there is also cruise vessels that have very important needs. You have pleasure boats, you have yachts, you have coastal fishing boats. All of them have different needs. And in a vessel, you have different needs also. You have the needs of the captain in order to manage the vessel. This is, of course, with high priority and with very high SLA. But you have the crew also that needs to have internet access, mainly for leisure, for pleasure. And of course, this is a lower priority. But nowadays, if you don't have very wideband internet access and you do not provide this to the crew, it will be very difficult for you to recruit a crew on your vessel. And this is the reality. It's why, it's Starlink. This explains why Starlink is so popular and so important. Nowadays, I think that Starlink, they claim to have something like 100,000 vessels, and in our opinion, it should probably be a penetration of something like 60%, and it's growing every day. It's growing. Then
Sorry,
this is to give you a sort of number.
That 60% is just 60% of vessels, or 60% of I mean, what's it's just measuring a ship, whether it's small or big, it doesn't matter?
It's a good question, because of course it's very difficult to say what is the contour. Then, okay, this is numbers, and seems to be that 1/3 of Starlink connections for vessels are direct connection. Then it's directly the fleet owner that has a contract with Starlink. The rest is via providers, satellite service providers. Yeah, this is to give you an idea of the situation and how I see the future. But the future, we see that the trends for LEO is growing and the trend for GEO is decreasing. That's absolutely sure. And in the future, okay, I think that GEO will survive because, of course, you have governmental vessels, typically militaries, etc., that, of course, will continue to use for sovereignty reason. Probably they will continue to use GEO. But more and more, I think that the situation in the future will be that you will have Starlink plus probably Kuiper and L-band and 5G. And I think that for 90% of the fleet, this could be enough, in my opinion. Maybe not the opinion of the others, but this is my opinion. And of course, you will have newcomers in the market, and probably also the Chinese constellation will also be part of the game. That's probably the reality in the future.
I won't bother asking Viasat the question, but for the two of you, you have any religious conviction against using a Chinese LEO constellation? Would that cause a problem for you, for the two of you guys?
As long as I get the business, I don't mind signing with anyone.
Fair enough. Okay. And Michael, same thing? Would you have an issue with using a Chinese constellation? No.
No, absolutely not. This is, if it's the requirement of the customer, of course, but we are providing the technology, including the SD1, then of course the choice of the customer or of the operator behind, it's not depending on us. It's depending on the needs of the customers and the needs of the market. That's it, full stop.
Okay, but the customer asks you to select for him, because you have greater knowledge, a suite of capacities that they'll put on their ship. Mm-hmm. Do they decide on their own, I want Starlink, or do they ask you to decide based on their needs?
Depending. Sometimes it's depending, it's their own choice, or it's the choice of their provider, or whatever, the different cases.
Okay. And what is your customers now? Give me a pie chart of what they're using. But majority Starlink?
Yeah,
just in
terms of LEO, it's majority Starlink, yes,
LEO
for
versus
sure.
GEO?
And then after that, OneWeb. That's
okay.
But the most important is certainly Starlink, for sure.
And on GEO?
GEO still surviving, but as soon as you have a problem with your traditional VSAT, in general they do not repair it, and they replace it with another LEO solution. Okay.
All right, so you can see a time when, and this is for all three of you, when it's not going to be, please, Viasat, but for at least the two of you, would you say that in 5 years, assuming Kuiper is operational, assuming Telesat is operational, OneWeb and Starlink are still there, that why would the maritime industry still need a GEO? I mean, you just use a backup for LEO.
Probably, yes. I think that this would be the situation, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move over to Andrew. from ABI Research. Andrew, what has your recent research told you about the maritime market and how it's changing?
Good morning. Andrew Cavalier from ABI Research. So we're just to kind of set the stage, we're a global market intelligence and consulting firm. Have about 34 different technology areas we cover: AI, cloud, robotics. I'm the space guy, so that's why I'm here. It's been a fascinating conference in 3 days, so pleasure to be here. So a lot of our clientele, it goes across the entire space value chain, operators, equipment vendors, as well as governments. This year we had a lot of work we were doing with NOAA, based out of the United States, looking particularly into fisheries and some of the digitization trends that are happening throughout the maritime space. To kind of put it simply in a very big macro perspective, it's an industry where digitization is starting to creep in and labor is starting to decrease. There's a real concern about crew retention and crew welfare and being able to connect increasingly digitized fishery and boat vessels out at sea. So some examples that we were looking at when we were speaking with fisheries and fishermen is that they were looking at using satellite links as a way to track equipment, to provide crew welfare, broadband connections directly to the ship, as well as connecting IoT devices on the ship and around the ship. And so they gather sensor data and whatever that they're doing out at sea, and then they could sell that data. So there's actually an additional revenue stream on top of getting the fish and bringing that back and selling that to providers, right? And so that's something that we're starting to see as a trend that's going to potentially pick up here more, is that using devices and using technology as a way to generate additional revenue streams, particularly from a data collection perspective, selling that to governments and to the defense industry and whatnot. And satellite is kind of going to be a strong foundation for that, right? Because you still need to have satellite L-band and even KU band for a lot of this. And so that's really where we're seeing some traction pulling up, particularly in the fisheries industry. Offshore, we also did some research for some of the customers in that segment. There's increasingly a trend towards LEO, right? And even still, the cellular market is still starting to punch in a little bit more into that as well. And then if we are also looking at larger vessels throughout the maritime segment, they are also moving a bit more into LEO as well. I mean, I think I have to agree with Michael's numbers. We're estimating around 100,000 connected Starlink vessels out at sea, and overall about 150,000 connected maritime vessels to satellite.
But that wouldn't be exclusively Starlink. They'd also have Iridium on board.
Correct, yes. So this is just one of the many layers of connectivity they have. And so that's, but it is showing an overwhelming trend, right? And when we speak with a lot of the customers who are taking this on, right, it comes back to cost sensitivity, right? They're really just saying, this is something that we think is cheap, it's easy for us to install. We can just buy it off the website if the terminal goes down, right? This is what we're hearing from them, and so their perception is this is an easier solution to work with. It's cheap in their mind, and so they'll take it on and install it onto the vessels. So that's really kind of the high level of what we're seeing here. And then there's some interesting things also happening as well. We're seeing autonomous systems starting to come on board, right? Autonomous maritime vessels or sail drones and whatnot. So this is something also that we see as a strong potential for satellite connectivity, L-band, S-band, and even K and KU band as well.
All right. I guess it's fair to say that whatever happens in the near term, Viasat and Iridium will have a place on ships because they've got the GMDSS licensees, right?
Absolutely.
And that already gives them an on-ramp into the maritime sector. So they're going to be there, Viasat and GEO for now, and Iridium obviously and LEO. That's not going to change. That's for safety stuff, correct?
Yeah. So absolutely. I mean, from the captain's perspective, GMDSS is still highly sought after and highly prized, right? reliability is still something sought after, right? And really, if we're talking about SLAs as well, it's something that we're seeing more in high-value segments, right? Government, cruise, right? Some of these segments, offshore even, that really need kind of that always-on connectivity. But when it comes to smaller segments, like fisheries, for example, or even smaller vessels that are starting to take on this connectivity, it's not so much of a concern yet, right?
Okay. All right. Let me remind the audience that we got 9 minutes left. I promised to open up for questions if you have any. If we could get the Slido up there. If there aren't any questions, I'll continue on. Otherwise, we will entertain the audience questions. Anonymous. It's been more than 2.5 years since the acquisition. You're still known as Inmarsat. Is that by design, or does it point to a slower than expected integration between the organizations? All right, well, Justin, I guess that's for you.
Yeah, thank you for great question. And then understandable, it might create some kind of like, confusion. So to be precise, we completed the merger between Viasat and Inmarsat 2 years ago. And then we are organizationally one. So we are one Viasat. The only decision around the Inmarsat is like this. Inmarsat has been kind of a well-known and big brand in the maritime sector. And then the main driver of the merger was because Inmarsat had a great presence in maritime, while Viasat had their own presence in other sectors like government or enterprise or aviation. So we decided to keep the brand name of Inmarsat for maritime business. It's like a Porsche brand is still there under Volkswagen Group. So yeah, that's as simple as that. But I like that question. Thank you.
For the two of you, one of the Viasat arguments has been that once we get the Viasat 3 terabit capacity satellites up in orbit, you're going to see that we can offer over congested airports and seaports capacity that LEO cannot offer. They said that. Of course, Starlink is improving all the time. We've now got V3 coming up, V3 Starlink with a lot more capacity. And then, of course, you've got other LEOs coming up as well. So how defensible is that argument from Viasat that their GEO satellites can dump on a given area, Singapore, more capacity than a LEO constellation can? They can concentrate in those areas where there's a lot of traffic. How legitimate is that argument? Start. Yeah.
Sorry, maybe.
So a high throughput GEO satellite delivering capacity over Singapore to the Singapore seaport will be able to get more capacity than a LEO constellation over that Singapore seaport at a given time. And that will make the difference between a connection and a non-connection.
But I think it's very difficult to say and to predict what is the real capacity available from the different providers. Then, yeah, I'm not sure I understand clearly your question. Sorry for that.
All right. Yeah, go ahead. Explain. No, just go ahead.
So, okay, I think currently what LEO is doing is they quickly scan their path, and while they scan their path, they scan the certain zone to communicate. But it's not steerable, so they cannot choose, can I beam my energy to the other zone, because they are just tracking the same route again. What GEO can do is we can steer spot beams. So one satellite has multiple spot beams which can be steered. So if we see more demanding area like Singapore, we can shoot more beam toward that spot using multiple spot beams at the same time. So we have almost a zero waste of our energy because we can be like more on-demand supply. That's the GEO. Yeah,
right. So more gigabits coming down to Singapore from a GEO satellite than there could be over from a LEO constellation. Do you buy that thesis?
Yes or no. In terms of go-to-market, so let's say that at a certain point of time, the LEO, I speak about LEO, it can be many LEO, it's congested in a zone. that for sure, if you have a software-defined satellite and you can move a beam over that zone, it will be very fast. It will be very fast. And you might not be able to do that fast with LEO. But LEO can actually move the complete satellite on top of an area, or just launch. You know, Starlink is launching, for instance, SpaceX is launching more than 100 satellites a month. Yep. So adding capacities, they will just tack up more capacity on a region. So my take is that his solution will be faster for addressing immediate needs if there is a problem of availability of capacity. But in terms of putting more capacity, Starlink will actually, because I speak about Starlink because they are the only one available, they will just stack up another satellite on top. And
they have more and more powerful satellite. Then the new generation is much more powerful than the first and the second. Then, of course, this is adding more and more capacity. And then at the end of the day, if you have the connectivity to several suppliers, I think that this problem can be solved and will be solved progressively. And I don't think it would be a real problem in the future. Yeah. This is my opinion.
Because this is all about managing congestion. And I believe that they all have operation team that anticipate this type of problems. And if there is a demand, they will address it. It will not wait for the problem to happen.
All right, fair enough. So we've got 5 minutes. We got several more questions up there. So I'll just take the second one. There's been a lot of focus on cybersecurity, which isn't your core business, but why not follow a model like the cloud industry? Secure your infrastructure and let the customers handle their own data security. Is that feasible in the maritime sector? Go ahead.
But yes, this is more or less what is done. But of course, some customers do not have all the knowledge and all the skills. And then, okay, providers need to help them in order to provide some solution they trust. And this is, in my knowledge, the situation. But of course, the infrastructure is very, very secured.
But most customers are going to want to have you handle the security part as well, correct?
Yeah.
Stephane? Yeah.
I share exactly the same opinion. Exactly.
Right. Justin, yeah.
One point I like to make is we can see vessel side cybersecurity and then shore side cybersecurity, which includes a ground station network. So there must be some like a end-to-end architecture where vessel side and then ground station side have full visibility of data traffic, including encryption and then the packet inspection, all those. So many people focus on vessel side, like if they put a firewall or UTM there, but how about the land side or shore side? So that's something you need to check out for when it comes to cybersecurity.
All right. I think we answered the third question, but Justin, if you want to attack it, what are the capabilities that GEO has that LEO doesn't?
No, I think technically, like I mentioned, the steering capability is one. And then more practically, I think the biggest one for the time being would be regulatory. Which country allows what kind of technology in terms of LEO, yeah.
So because LEO is new, so they'll need, or what's the reason for that regulatory advantage?
I think, for example, China, they want to keep the network or cyber world protected and secure for their own national security.
Yeah, but Viasat isn't going to have more access to China than Starlink, is it?
I mean, at the moment, our VSAT has full authorization to be used there. That's why our VSAT has value. Yeah.
I think here we speak about specific case. If we speak about LEO or GEO, at the end, in front of regulators, it's the same for most of the countries. So it's just about getting landing rights approved. Right. On that, of course, the latest operator will have his landing right approved after the first one. So it just, for me, it's just a matter of timing. It's not, yes, you have sanctions, it depends on the countries, but that's why this is on the specific. We need to speak about technology itself. So I don't see any country where specifically a government say no to LEO, only GEO. That I haven't seen any.
No, I was thinking about the political, reputational damage that SpaceX might have done to itself in the last year.
Because you go on the specifics. I go on the technology itself. Right. So if you go on the specifics, yeah, of course, you might have a political issue, challenge, depending on the origin of the company.
Okay. And Andrew, if you want to take that last one on the general market, if you have any numbers there you want to share. I can't see it now. Here it is. Yeah. How large is the global market for satellite-based maritime, and which segments are driving the growth?
Yeah, so from a service revenue perspective, we're estimating this year to be about 1.3 billion, and by 2030, it's going to be about 3 billion, right, in service revenue. So that's really kind of the outlook for that. Now, in terms of which segments, like you said, we see fisheries as a potentially big growth segment because there's going to be a lot more vessels connecting in that segment. Because we're seeing lower cost solutions come to market, more people are going to be coming online. So that's going to be one of the high growth segments that we think.
And quickly for the three, because we've got to wrap it up. What percentage is military use of your current customer set now? Navies, that sort of thing. Or just say government use if you want. Is that a significant percent of your total market right now, or no? No.
For me, not much, to my knowledge.
It's a very, very, very specific market. It's governmental and a lot of secret about that. And then, but it's a market with their own specificities, and they are using a mix of technologies, and they are also using sometime also a solution, a commercial solution. Together with very high secure solution, because for the crew, one example, okay, they need to have some commercial affordable solution, and this is what is the situation in my knowledge.
Same thing.
For us, it's 50-50, but it's because we are a company that is structured actually to address governments. So that's why we have a lot of government customers.
All right. One last quick one, because we got to get here. You have a contract with the European Space Agency on some sort of technology sharing?
Oh, I cannot mention anything about that.
You mentioned it on your website.
Then you need to communicate with my marketing manager.
Yeah, we are working on contract for European Space Agency and also for European Commission. Yes.
To do what?
Together with GMV. We are, for the time being, we are in the initial operation for the GovSatcom hub. This is one thing. Then the purpose is to aggregate all the capacities of the European satellite operators and to make it available for governmental needs in Europe and the different countries.
That's supposed to be operational at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, correctly, the initial operation, and okay. And now Iris Square is starting with the request for information phase, and we have a good chance to be part of this new game.
Sorry, we got to wait anchor here. So thank you very much, and could you thank our panelists as well?
Thank you all for the exciting and very insightful conversation.